All right, so this is the video where I'm going to close read High Flight a little bit. Your assignment is going to be filling out a types fast for it. If you don't remember, that is the kind of poetry analyzing tool that we've been using to look at poems together. And we're going to use it again now. I have on the Google Doc an explanation of all the different aspects of types fast. I'm going to go through them really quickly here so that you know what they are. If hearing it's going to be a little bit better for you. So you can just skip, 30 seconds ahead if you just want to read it. So T stands for title, the significance of the title. You usually look at this before you read the poem because you again look at it later at the end. So with this assignment, you don't have to do that first T because we already read the poem. P stands for paraphrase. And that's kind of, I want to say line by line, but it's really more sentence by sentence, idea by idea, maybe phrase by phrase would be better. I don't want you to, change every single word, but I also don't want you to think about paraphrasing in terms of only lines, because when we're talking about poetry, thoughts often spill over lines into the next line, and so that can be kind of hard to paraphrase if you're only thinking about it by lines. Sentences are better, but the sentences in this poem are really long, so that could be a little bit tough. So just kind of, break it down into maybe phrases, chunks that you think that you can paraphrase. The speaker, who is the voice saying the poem? Sometimes it's the author and sometimes it's not. In this case, it probably is, pretty close to the author, but we want to see what we can tell about him based upon the text and not just knowing that it was John Gillespie who wrote it. John Gillespie McGee, that is. The F stands for figurative language. That's poetic devices, literary devices, metaphors, similes, personification, alliteration, rhyme, internal rhyme, all of those different aspects, language tricks that authors use to make their poems more impactful, more meaningful somehow. And that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit later in this video. Attitude or tone. What is the general kind of feeling, the attitude of the author toward the text? What does it feel like? I've attached a list of tone words because it can be kind of hard to come up with tone words sometimes. But what are the connotations of the specific words that you see in this text, and how do they make you feel? How do they seem to make the author feel about what he is talking about? Shifts, are there any changes, shifts in the poem? Does sentence length, syntax change very much? Does the sentence construction change? Does the feeling change? Does what the author is talking about change? Do the comparisons change? Is there some sort of any type of change in the poem? T, that's where we look at the title again after having analyzed the rest of it. Does it bring new light to the title? Does the title add more understanding information at this point that it did not earlier? And finally, the last T is theme. What is the overarching theme of the poem? Remember, theme is not a single word like love or discovery or risk or flight. It's more than that. It's that single word plus an insight, an idea about it. What is that poem saying about that topic? So looking back at the poem, High Flight, I'm looking over here because I have a second monitor and I realize that might look kind of goofy to you. So the first thing that I notice when I read this poem is the way that he utilizes both internal rhyme, but especially alliteration. Slip the surly bonds of earth and dance the skies on laughter, silvered wings. All of these sounds there, causing me to breathe out a lot. Kind of, I don't know, giving me the sense of a wind and speed. Also, especially, it makes me kind of feel like I'm flying through the poem in the same way. Slipped the surly bonds of earth. Also, it makes me feel slippery, like I'm moving around like a snake. And the idea is that, like, he's just gotten out of, the call of gravity and been able to fly out above where man has ever been before. Dance to the skies on laughter silvered wings. Those words, dance and laughter silvered, they really kind of highlight the joy, the unrestrained joy that this speaker feels about the experience of flight and flying, and how much joy. I mean, I joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds. More S sounds all over the place there, and mirth meaning, absolute joy and happiness. Done 100 things you have not dreamed of, wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. I realize that I'm talking really fast, but everything in this poem makes me want to go more, faster. Really experience it emotionally, passionately, because that is McGee Jr.'s experience with flight. Thinking about this in the types fast, right? I've mostly focused on looking at some of the figurative language, right? I especially focused on alliteration. and how the specific choice of words that start with S, have S in them, end with S, affects my reading of the poem, and then also affects what I understand about the poem and what the poem is saying. As you move forward, you could look for metaphors. You could talk about different ways that he's describing, things. Laughter silvered wings. Obviously, the wings of his plane are not silvered by laughter, but why would he choose to say it that way? What does that make you think of? And moving forward, especially what I think you might have a challenge with in this poem is shifts, and where does the poem shift in any ways? And I would say look specifically, especially at that stanza break. Why would he break stanzas there? What is he talking about in the first stanza compared to the second stanza? That's where I would focus on that shifts question. Finally, when you're thinking about theme, I want you to really think about not just what is the deeper meaning of the poem. Don't say things like that. Think about what is this poem about, right? Think about a big topic: flight, joy, discovery, success. I don't know, something like that. And what is the poem saying about one of those things? That is what I would hope from you. If you have any other questions, I would love to answer them. I hope you enjoy this poem. Thanks very much. See you soon.